Okay, thanks everyone for coming. This is great. It's a beautiful day, and you're not out camping or skiing or whatever. I guess not skiing. We rally here today to send a message to our lawmakers at Olympia. You have failed the people of Washington State. We rally in order to bring attention to this sad fact. We rally in order to publicly stand together and to overcome the feelings of isolation and powerlessness that the existing social order imposes upon us. But to rally is not enough. More important is what we do after we rally to advance our cause. In the Transit Riders Union, this is the way we do things. Before we rally, we organize. And after we rally, we organize. The Transit Riders Union is in motion. Between protesting and organizing, there's a world of difference. To illustrate the superior power of organizing, let's remember back to the 1930s. Out of the dark depths of the Great Depression came an explosion of activity among the working class in the United States. After 5 years of deteriorating conditions of life, industrial workers everywhere ceased waiting around for their lot to improve and began to take their collective destiny into their own hands. They got organized. They formed mass democratic institutions called unions, through which they fought for and won the improvements that they deserved. Thus, the industrial union movement rose up and turned society upside down. Virtually overnight, it became a new power in the land, a force with which the capitalist elite was compelled to reckon. And today, in the 21st century, a similar movement is in the making. 4 decades of globalization have radically transformed the basic conditions of life and work for the majority of the population. The working class in the developed countries has not disappeared, but has been transformed. In place of the broad middle class of decently paid industrial workers has stepped a new army of the unemployed, the underemployed, the underpaid, a growing section of the population for whom debt, insecurity, disposability, and powerlessness are the basic conditions of life. And this gigantic base, this heart and soul of the post-industrial working class, represents a greater mass of people than the entire industrial proletariat did when it overturned the existing order in the 1930s. What prevents us from rising up today the way they did back then? The answer is, we are not organized. Not yet. But how can the post-industrial working class get organized in the 21st century the way the industrial working class did in the 20th? This is the burning question, and no one has quite figured out the answer. The Transit Riders Union faces this very question. We formed a few years ago to fight transit cuts, and this is what we found out. We have our specific demands, but we can't win them alone. We look around and we see all these other issues that affect us: housing, jobs, education, immigration, welfare, healthcare. Organizations and groups everywhere struggle to move forward on these fronts. And as we've seen with this last legislative session, they face immense obstacles. These obstacles can only be overcome when those who are affected most get involved and get organized. And this means the most precarious section of the population especially, because they are the ones who are affected by all of these issues. The billionaires, the corporations, the banks, they are well organized. And why? Because they have money. They pay people to organize, to lobby, to manage, to think, to study, and to spread their message. But do they believe in what they're doing? I don't think they do. I don't think they do at all. They're just going through the motions. They worship the almighty dollar, and they do its bidding. They're zombies. They're dead inside. And if we let them, they'll spread that deadness outward and turn the whole world into a wasteland in order to appease their golden calf. We don't have money, but we have something more powerful. We have each other. Before we started the Transit Riders Union, I was just an isolated human being trying to eke out a living in a cold, indifferent world. But now I know I'm not alone. Every day people stand beside me, not because they have to, but of their own free will. This is a warm feeling of solidarity that no billionaire knows. A feeling no amount of money can buy. We are fighting injustice. We have right on our side, and we believe in what we're doing. We know it is only our action and our resolve that will change the world. We have but to organize ourselves so that we may exert power. We know that this is immensely difficult work, especially now, especially at first. We're just in the early phases, and considering what we're up against. But we know it can be done. We know that once we break through, the power of the whole working class will be behind us. And once the slumbering giant has awoken, we will no longer have to protest injustice, but we will have the power to prevent it from happening in the first place. Thank you.